Hello, friends and followers, fellow fishermen. Mike McFarland here. I'm going to give you the end of the week rundown now. As I said, I'm fishing full time now, hopefully, God willing, all the way through July. Um, Schedule looks awesome, and I'm very excited about that. So, we're going to try and give you a McFarland's rundown, Lake Fork rundown, hopefully at least 2 times a week, preferably 3, maybe even a little more. But through the week, you're going to get, the truth, what really happened. The end of the week, I'm going to kind of give you a review and what I think I'm going to be doing this coming week. Kind of like a forward projection. We've never done that before. So let's first talk about yesterday, Saturday. If you follow me on Facebook, Mike McFarland personally is full, so you can't follow me there. But you can follow me on Lake Fork Adventures Guide Service. That you saw yesterday, caught a big one. Fish was around 8-pound range, didn't actually weigh it. I caught it. It happens sometimes. The guide catches a big one too. I try not to, but it happened. It was fun. We really definitely enjoyed it. But Lake Fork's still cold. The unique thing about that really big fish was it was in 2 feet of water. Caught it flipping. And I'm going to talk about what I flip in the shallow waters in just a minute. Caught it flipping, basically. Flipping the wood like I told you the day before. Really, really healthy fish, full of eggs. But the peculiar thing was the tail had been frozen off, half of it. It was not from digging. It was the top of the tail. All 3 of us on the boat concurred that it was freezer, not freezer burn, but you could just tell it was frostbite. It was burnt off, froze off. What does that imply? That implies that big female came in before those storms hit, before the freeze hit, and she stayed in there. I've heard many guides have come across some fish like that. That's your first wave that goes in. When it migrates in, it's in. It's just not going to go back out. The tail, it will grow back. No big deal. So, but anyways, I caught that fish now, flipping the wood, and really pitching the wood. When your line's spooling off your spool, you're pitching. So we were pitching to the wood, very shallow wood, bushes, bulrushes, clumps of dead debris like alligator weed, anything shallow, less than 5 feet. Okay, flip it all, pitch it all. Okay, basically what I'm doing is a small bait. This is something that's just going to get you bit. I go downsize to 15 pound. That's as low as I'm ever going to go on fork. Makes me nervous as it is, but I want to throw smaller baits. I'm going to go 1/4 ounce weight. I do peg the weight so that it can penetrate in the little bushes and junk that I'm throwing it through. In this case, this is a little Strike King cutter worm. I like dark colors. This, I believe, is just Alabama craw, or I'm sorry, maybe Bama bug. I'm really tired this morning, but basically green pumpkin, electric blue. But the dark colors are best. And remember, creature baits, a lot of creature baits, just small little things like the pit boss or the V&M J bug. Perfect little flipping baits. Dark colors. Those will get you bit baits. Okay. The other one I'm going to flip is going to be the Santone finesse jig. Okay, and then I'm going to use, the pit boss, half of a pit boss, as a trailer. I like to do this because, unlike the Texas rig, I'm going to go a little bit heavier. I'm going to go more to the 1/2 ounce. And with this Texas rig, what I did catch the big fish on yesterday, it's light and it's going to fall and it's been much slower presentation. Occasionally, I really want to clunk through the junk, or I want to get at the base of the stump in that 2-3 foot and beat on it. That's when I'm going to go to the Santone. It's a 7/16 finesse jig. Okay, black and blues, darks like your browns. PB&J is hard to beat. But I throw that on, and I throw that on my signature rod. Realistically, this is the model stock rod for real-time rods. It's a Bushido blank. Okay, it assembled right here. You order it pretty much to made to order. But call up Real-Time Rods. Tell them you want an MB 7'3", 1020 for this. Okay, I put 15-pound fluorocarbon line on it. Caught an 8-pound fish yesterday. easy 8-pound fish. Might have been a little bigger. And this rod handled it like a champ, okay? I'm running Daiwa reels these days. The 150s are best. And this, I want a higher gear ratio. When I'm pitching, I want to get the fish out of that junk as fast as I can. High gear ratio helps me do that. So I go 7-1. You might even go faster. All right. Again, line was 15 pound. Usually 1/4 ounce, 3/8 max or less. 1/8 ounce if I can get away with it. I want that slow presentation. All right. So that's how we're catching actual fish. And a jig in that shallow wood. This is a Sandtone 1/2 ounce, black and blue, with the UV light. And this is going to be the GV crawl, okay, and Green Pumpkin Fire Tiger. This is going to be the same thing I'm going to use in the deeper spots, the pre-stage spots, the shell beds, okay? So let's talk about the lake now. I haven't really given you the rundown. And the reason I have is things are changing. They're changing really, really fast. A summary of the week is, you know, we were 402.20 the beginning, and we're 403.03, full pool, over pool, just a tiny bit as of yesterday. As of this morning, we're dropping. They've opened gates. I don't like that, but it is what it is. The water visibility, 0 to 1 feet, depends on where you are. If you're in the backs of the creeks, there's not much at all. If you're still in the main lake, you might even see a little better than 1 foot in the main lake down south. Water parameters, 46 to 51. The best thing you can do is find the warmest water. The warmest water, uniquely enough, is where the coldest water was a week ago. It was a flip-flop. We had Antarctic freezing, followed by subtropical flooding. And there's nothing better than fresh, warm water to come in after all that cold. If you're looking to catch fish, go to the backs of any one of the creeks and throw yourself a tiny little spinnerbait, like a GOT5 spinnerbait, or a small 1.5 square bill, preferably flat sides. This is not. This is an RC Rick Clun 1.5 Lucky Craft. That'll get you bit. What I plan on doing, and here's what we're going to do this week, is I'm going to up that spinnerbait. I'm going to up it to a big, heavy 1/2 ounce, but I'm going to put on my own willow leaf. The reason I'm going to do this, I'm going to put a big willow leaf on, is it's obnoxious. It thumps hard, something fierce in that real shallow water, in that back dirty water. And I can go so slow. I can reel this thing as slow as I possibly can. And that bait's just sitting there obnoxious and thumping. It gives the best time to hear it, find it. If it goes by them, this time of year, they're going to smash it. Okay? I'm looking forward to seeing what happens this week in that dirty, warm water. Occasionally on that, again, I've switched that blade. Willow leaf spinnerbait. Change the blade to the largest one you can get your hands on. Sometimes I'll do it with a chartreuse one as well. The water's real dirty. But what I get with the chartreuse one is UV reflection as well. Okay, and that dirty water, and you might see some things happening in the back right there too, which is really cool. But that's UV, not glow, reflection. You can hear a lot about that this year. Like even maybe it'll do it with this. This is a simple Strike King bait, and I hope that's coming out on camera. But I wonder why those work. All right, foreshadow what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to be flipping wood, flipping shallow stuff, secondary points, backwaters, trying to find the warmest water I can. Throwing the spinnerbait that I just talked about. Flipping the jig. Actually, let's back up. I didn't tell you what I'm going to throw spinnerbait on. All right. 20-pound test, no matter what, nothing less. All right, meaning I'm hoping that a gigantic teenager hits this. I want to be ready for it. I'm gonna throw it on again. Daiwa Tatula. I've stepped up to a 200 here because I'm putting 20 and even 25 pound. I generally just go big game line. It's super tough. It's abrasive resistant. If this fish gets on there and wraps you up around a tree for 10 minutes, we're probably still all right with the big game. Fluorocarbon, it's gonna break. All right, so that's why I go to the big game, not because it's cheap, because it does the job in this dirty water. I don't need fluorocarbon. In the shallow water, I don't need fluorocarbon. So, but the rod also has to do the job, okay? Real-time rods, CB 7'10", 1530. This rod is so awesome. It is incredible that I can boat flip a 10-pounder easily. I have tied up to 1 gallon of oil and lifted it straight cold from the floor of my garage. Okay, no momentum or anything, just cold lift and put it back down. 1 gallon of oil. So the rod is made to do the job, catch big fish. When you go see real-time rods, again, CB, 7 foot, 10, 15, 30, be sure to tell them you do want the McFarland signatures. It's just a little bit more. It's worth it. All right. Now I want to talk to you about just a couple things. I'm still into the summary of what I'm going to do now next week. We talked about the shallow water, the backwaters, the secondary points, the main lake points, and the shallow wood, flipping less than 5 feet of water, pitching baits less than 5 feet of water, the spinner bait, the jig. Now, that jig, I'm going to use the same thing offshore. Shell beds, probably anywhere from 6 to 18 feet of water. I'm going to step it up a little bit on the jig. And I'm probably going to go to a 3/4 ounce instead of a 1/2 ounce. I'm throwing this on my signature jig rod, MB 7 foot 3, 1530, 20-pound fluorocarbon. I want that sensitivity. I want to feel that. I'm going to move this thing so slow. I want to feel it crawl over every shell as I pull it through it. Okay. So as far as the jig goes, flipping shallow, pitching shallow, I'm going to go 1/2 ounce. Offshore deep in the shell beds, 3/4 ounce. The old ball and chain. Impact special. Okay, this here is the 5-inch impact shad. Since the water's dirty, chartreuse pepper, my #1 choice, and I guarantee it would have been Mark's. Definitely going to probably step up to the 7-inch more often than not, especially if I'm on shell beds and big offshore, what I call high percentage location spots. These fish still have to come into us. They've got to migrate to the shallows to spawn over the next 6 weeks. Putting the boat in the right high percentage spot and fishing with the big jig, the impact shads, and this final bait right here is one of the #1 ways that you can catch big fish and absolutely hit a home run and catch 30, 40, or even a 50-pound sack on Lake Fork. All right? Swim baits through those same shell beds. In this case, this is a 1/2 ounce. This is a 1/2 ounce Sparks shad. Real soft, simple swim bait. Swims at super slow condition or slow reeling. And I'm basically tipping it up with a 1/2 ounce impact. Basically, this is the swim. It's made for swim baits. It's a swim bait jig head. And it's got the structure guard on it, which is perfect for Lake Fork and ensures an in the roof hook set when they eat it, or you set the hook. Okay. I'm going to slow roll that. Cast it out, slow roll that, thumping through those shallow shell beds and deep mussel beds. Very, very slow reeling. 6:3 gear ratio, 20-pound fluorocarbon, 7 foot 3, basically the jig rod, same rod. I'm going to treat this like a jig. There's occasionally, sometimes, if you look closely at the head of this, it's just got that nice, perfect, flat surface. And it's going to clunk the bottom and right through the shell. So there are times that I won't reel it. I'll pull it real slow and just let it thump and bang through the shell. Very similar to a wobblehead or a jig itself. So same thing, same jig rod, 20-pound fluorocarbon. Guys, I know that was a little bit long. That's why I'm kind of rushing to end here. I know some guys like to watch forever, and some guys just want it short, concise. But any which way, Lake Fork's coming around. It's coming around really fast because of the floods. Flooding rain, warm tropical rain type, and we got more of that coming. I expect March to be March. Don't let that cold front and freeze think that, oh boy, everything's held back. What also I expect about March is that there were fish that did not get to spawn in February, and those are going to be added to the March spawn. I also expect a massive shad kill is going to imply that there's less bait fish, and we're going to have a much better spring when these bass have to hunt for food. Appreciate you watching. I'm Mike McFarland, The Lake Fork Guide. Find me on Facebook at The Lake Fork Adventures Guide Service. Find me on Instagram, The Lake Fork Guide. Please remember to give me a thumbs up if you really enjoyed it. I love to see that. And subscribe if you have not. Talk to you guys Monday night after I fish on Fork. This is Mike McFarland giving you a Lake Fork Rundown.